Hi, welcome to Coworking with Iris. I am Iris Kavanaugh, founder, and I love coworking and I love talking about it all day long. And so today I'm talking with Maya Delano of NextSpace. Maya has been a community manager for about 3 years, and in that time she's trained probably close to a dozen community managers after sort of mastering time and space in her community and in her location. And so we're going to talk about time management tips for community managers. And I really feel like this is a great topic because as a community manager, you're busy all day, every day. And what I often hear from community managers that I work with is that it's really hard to know how to prioritize your time, how to finish your task list, how to make sure that you're available to the members and also get your stuff done every day. And so I've watched Maya over the years, and you know, I really felt like she had some good tips to share with people. So here we are. So Maya, as I mentioned, over the years, I've watched you move from, you know, frankly, overwhelmed in the beginning.
Oh, yes.
And just trying to get through your day to mastering time and space, and always with that amazing smile on your face. So I really admire your ability to make the members feel like they're your only focus while making sure the operations of your space are running smoothly, which is no big or no small feat when you've got 11,000 square feet and I don't know, 250 members or something like that.
Yep, we're on 292 right now, so we're full. We're busy.
Wow.
I know.
That's a lot.
It's exciting and wonderful.
Yeah. And so what I'd love to hear about a little bit is sort of back in the beginning when you first became a community manager.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how did that feel? You know, tell me about, you know, you wake up in the morning, you're excited to get to work, you go through your day, you leave work at the end of the day. You know, talk to us a little bit about sort of the mind frame that you were in at that time.
Sure. I think because community management is such a different role out there. I mean, maybe if you had some restaurant business, some restaurant background work, that you might understand what goes on out there on the floor. And I definitely had to use my early days as a hostess in a restaurant to multitask, but it's like no other job I'd been part of. And I think I had this idea that you had to accomplish and that there was going to be an end to your day. And the first 3 months I was in overwhelm and stress because I used to be a perfectionist. This job will make you not a perfectionist anymore, thank goodness. And I could never get anything done. I felt like I was always being, you know, you don't want to think about it as being interrupted, but you try to complete something. And then really the majority of the job is reacting and responding. So how the heck are you supposed to get any administrative work? Because you're also running a business, which a lot of members don't originally understand, that you're not just there to help with, you know, on-site things. You're actually, some of us are doing the P&L, we're doing all the social media, we're doing the onboarding. So I would say that I was almost, you know, in tears in the first 3 months, and I was burning out. After 3 months, I burned out. And actually, you were the one who told me some very helpful information that really changed things for me, which is your day will never be done. The job is all about being in process. And you really just have to enjoy being in the moment here. But I also, because I am an efficiency person, I created some very specific systems for myself to get me through the day.
Yeah, so we did talk about that being in process, and I know that you are a process person. So I'd love to hear some of those tips that you have. You know, knowing that a community manager's day is full, and sometimes what we plan to do when we show up at the beginning of the day isn't actually what ends up happening throughout the day. You know, you think you've got your list, you think you've got your priorities, you know what you need to tackle that day, and somehow a lot of other stuff happens that is actually more important than that top priority you identified. So tell us your favorite trick for staying on top of your to-do list.
Well, I can brag right now that I typically have 6 emails in my email box, about 6. And I had to make the decision. I used to have, I think, like I don't know, 2,000 in there. And I finally just went through one day and I sat down, like, I can't do this anymore. It makes me feel like I'm never able to catch up. I just went through and, I deleted or archived absolutely everything. And what I do now is my process is I get to work in the morning. Always excited to get to work because you never know what's going to go down here. Like, for example, this morning, I was going to get to work, get everything set up, have a few minutes to check out all the emails that you sent me, and then a tour came in. So I was like, all right, gotta, switch the brain on to tour person and get this person excited about NextSpace. But what I do is the first thing I do, I get in, I open my computer, I get into my email, and I go through and delete absolutely everything that I do not have to respond to. So all of those, any junk mail, whatever, that is gone. And so then I'm just looking at what I have to do. I then look at my tours, if there's anybody making a tour request, or if there's anything like on fire that needs to be addressed right then and there. So I respond to tours. Then I just make sure that anything I looked at, I turn into a unread. And then I'm going to actually come back at 10:30 or 11 to actually respond to any of the other emails and give myself a solid half hour. Because what I do is I actually schedule in my morning time to chit chat with members. If you guys have all been out there, that morning time is when you grab your coffee. It's when you sit and chit chat with people. And so I make sure that opening up the space, I'm also multitasking with getting to know my members and checking in with them. So for example, when I'm unloading to the dishwasher, I am just talking, I'm slinging dishes, and then I'm also making sure that I am asking people how they are. And then I've also made up some fun things, like I call it the kitchen dance. So it's interacting, it's fun. We're all squished into this small space. And so I've created some little ways to create, yes, I'm doing and setting up the kitchen, but we're also kind of dancing and having fun. And I'm saying hello to you also when I'm doing the rounds, because as you mentioned, this is an 11,000 square foot space with lots of little nooks and crannies, and just making sure all the printer paper is set. And I will also make sure I take that time if I see someone in their office to say hello, and if they need, or if I feel like they are ready to chit chat about something, I will make sure that I just sit down for 5 minutes and talk to them. Of course, phones in hand, and they all know that I'm busy, so they're very, very kind. But when I'm doing my rounds and opening, that is also my time where I am talking to people. So the focus is multitasking, which is what we do. So that just gives you a little bit of it. I also make sure that on every Monday, this is the more like logistics here. Every Monday I look at my calendar and I look at the entire week. And this makes sure that for example, if I have the massage therapist calling me and saying, hey, can I book Wednesday? And I have a happy hour that morning, I'm going to say no. So one event per day or one thing per day is max. So today is a special day though, because we have our $10 co-working day. I'm doing my interview with you. I have a community manager that's going to be shadowing me at 11, from 11 to 2. And then we'll put on our happy hour at 3:58. And I just took a deep breath and I just make sure that, each moment, don't think too far down the road each moment. But I also keep things pretty timely. Like I know at 2 o'clock on Friday, I am done with tasks. I am just focusing on members and getting ready for happy hour. So that's part of the being present, is really knowing like, okay, doing dishes, but I'm also chatting with members. And then at, by 10:30, 11, I'm back on my email. I'm going to respond to all those important things. And then I'm also going to make sure there's more time to chit chat with people. So that should give you a little bit of a tidbit. I also do put in my calendar, like, what are the plants? Because those things I forget. I also have a very specific day that we do, that I did supply ordering. So every Tuesday is supply. And every 2 days I'm getting milk from Trader Joe's. These are all just basic logistics, but the last thing you want is your member to be like, there's no half and half. Yeah,
you can't be without half and half. No.
Yeah. And so I'm like running out, I can't be running out when I'm about to do an interview with you, do a half and half. So I just make sure, like, when I'm looking at my week and all that stuff's in my calendar. Now, mind you, there's only 1 or 2 things in my calendar per day. I really am only trying to accomplish 2 to 3 things in the day. So if you think you're going to get a whole lot done, you have 3 minor tasks that you can get done. The other thing is that I know I'm like, I can ramble on forever about this, is if you have the opportunity and can take a step away from the floor to do some of your administrative stuff, 30 minutes, you're going to get something done if you take an office hour and go hide. One of our staffers has this awesome little thing she puts on her computer saying, I'm in a meeting right now for 30 minutes. I'll be right with you. Another really important task is when you are juggling all those different things and a member comes up and says, hey, I need this right now. I let them know that I have 5 tasks or items ahead of them. And if they would please email me, and that way I can get back to them later on that day. So I do let people know instead of saying, oh yeah, I can do that. Sure, yeah. It's like, I have 5 people ahead of you. Email me because I do not want to miss this, but I need your help. So help me. So I do ask my members to help me with my time management as well. Awesome.
I want to circle back to something that you said earlier. You mentioned that you have, 11:30 or 10 to 11, I think you might have said, blocked out as sort of your time to check email. How is it that you can manage to block out anything? I mean, how do you have a trick to setting up your day? Do you have certain things that you do on certain days of the week, certain days of the month? Do you set yourself up with a schedule that sort of looks like daily, weekly, and monthly, and even yearly tasks?
Yeah, so for sure. And I will tell you, I'm 3 years in now, so I've got a good feel and a beat. The majority of community managers do tend to be fairly intuitive, and so you're kind of feeling your way through the day. And so I have a kind of a pace that I keep now. So for example, when I first came here at NextSpace, we had a Next Talk a week. So I was spending so much time doing these, the promotion and this, that, and the other, that it was overwhelmed. So I made the decision that this is kind of the larger on the month schedule, I only do a Next Talk on the 3rd Thursday of the month. So,
okay. So you're really prioritizing, what I'm hearing you say is you're prioritizing quality over quantity. You can produce a really great internal programming event for your members that will benefit them, that will help them run their businesses better, or access more happiness and a richer life.
Yep.
And you're doing so in a way that also allows you to be a more efficient and a happier worker. I love that.
Iris, you are so good at explaining things. So one of the important things was, as part of my early burnout, I was like, oh my God, I'm doing an event. I've got my newsletter to get. I was in overwhelm and burnout. And so what I found, just like we're all trying to create this, it's an idea of work-life balance, because being in co-working, being a community manager is a lifestyle. It's really not 9 to 5. You're living the dream. So I decided, yes, quality over quantity. Also, what that means is I know that I have 12 of those throughout the year. And then it organizes that event. So when I'm looking at a new event, like, hey, I want to throw in speed networking, which is one of our most successful events, that happens quarterly, because there's a lot of, I can't do that every week. I can't do that every month. That is a quarterly thing. And it takes, 2 or 3 or 4 people to organize all that and be there on site. And it's really an exciting thing that happens just quarterly. So then going in terms of, having our happy hours, those are consistently on the same day and the same time. And I'm hoping all of you fabulous co-working people out there have your happy hours. It's a great opportunity for people to, close their computer and get to know each other. I call it authentic schmoozing. That's my fun little keyword for that. And having that set and consistent. The other thing is going more now looking at the week. I know that, for example, when I am doing my ordering, that's on a Tuesday, because guess what? Oh my gosh, all of a sudden you're out of toilet paper or something, you're going to run out. It just, you need to keep that consistent. And if you do it on like, hey, every Tuesday I'm going to check on this, it's going to allow the rest of your week to open up and you not having to respond, react, put out fires. So that's really what my 3 years has taught me is, okay, so this is a job that is about reacting and responding, and that suits me and my personality. That's the kind of job I want to be in. But there are certain things I don't want to be putting out fires, which is so supplies not being there. So the other thing is looking on the week, again, one event per day at max. I have, if happy hours don't work for a sponsor on a Friday, I offer a Tuesday at 10 o'clock bagel and coffee happy hour. And it's always at Tuesday at 10 o'clock. Therefore, it's kind of plugged into the calendar, because all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, let's put you in for a morning happy hour. And then you realize, oh my God, I'm also doing on Thursday, wow, the next talk is happening. And all of a sudden your day is completely dedicated to running events. So I've kind of over the years plugged different things into different dates. Also in terms of opening and closing, because I'm kind of looking at the week now. Mm-hmm. I try, when I'm closing, I'm starting to close and not doing anything a half hour before I'm out the door. I'm like, okay, it's 4:30 or 5 o'clock whenever you're leaving, and you have half hour. If you're still trying to do stuff and help people and get like that last administrative thing done, then guess what? You've just spent another half hour, inside the building and doing stuff. And next thing you know, you're like, hanging out for another 30, 45 minutes. I would rather get everything done and then decide to be able to go out and go hang out with one of my members outside, mm-hmm. after, And also one of the other things I do is, I'm assuming that the majority of folks process mail. As soon as you get your mail, make sure that is getting done. That is your first priority, because if you don't get that done and all of a sudden you realize it's 5:30, you're staying until that's done. So again, this is about quality of life, time management, organizing things. So if the mail comes at 2 o'clock, I am by 2:30, I'm trying to get that done. Sometimes it doesn't come till 4. I'm like, where is it? I'm trying to get everything else done to wait for that. So you do figure these things out. In terms of dated, hour to hour, really, again, I think I went into detail a little bit, but I get my email checked. I then go do the rounds and opening. And I mean, scheduling time with your members, think an hour and a half of being open and available and talking, getting to know, because if someone has an opportunity to tell you about this new venture that they're doing and that they are, we're looking to hire someone, then I have all that information to mm-hmm. network. Because I really consider community managers as, if you are networking and helping your fellow folks build your business, and you are doing the biggest service that you can for them, helping people build their business. So that little tidbit and that 5-minute conversation that I have in the morning with my members is going to help me help all of the businesses, because I'm sharing information on behalf of them. I'm just trying to think of a couple other things.
Yeah, so I one of the things I wanted to touch on too is happy members. I think it's mm-hmm. it's easy for a young community manager or a new person to come in and start working at a co-working space and feel like their job is to make the members happy all the time. And yes, that is your job.
I'm shaking my head right now, but yes, it is, yes.
I mean, we want our members, at the end of the day, we're building a place that's for the members, right? And so we want to make sure that our members have the best experience possible, the most authentic experience possible. Mm-hmm. And I know for myself as a community manager, it was, it was a huge learning for me to realize that I couldn't make everybody happy all of the time and be happy myself. And that at the end of the day, if I wasn't a happy mm-hmm. person, then I was setting the tone of a stressed out community. And mm-hmm. your members, I'm a member of your community. I co-work here, several times a month, and your members are so happy. You walk into this place and they're smiling. Happy hours are amazing. Mm-hmm. You always have a big crowd for happy hours, mm-hmm. even when you just put out some beer and pretzels and some wine. Yeah. So what I'm curious about is how you balance the business of community and encouraging mm-hmm. people to do for themselves, so that you can be a balanced person and happy in this job. Because I think it's mm-hmm. pretty typical for community managers to burn out before they figure out, or you know, to approach burnout before they figure out how to balance their day. So, you know, do you
Sure.
ever involve your members in getting things done around your space? You know, some spaces are run completely by members, or are, you know, they have work trade programs with their members and so on and so forth. So how do you in your community involve the members in and encourage them to be self-sufficient while also being a high service, a high touch co-working space?
Again, that is a great question. You know, I've been in a space where, you know, I'm either visiting or training and a member offers to help, and then the co-work or the community manager goes, no, that's okay, I'll do it. You say, thank you so much for your help. This is awesome. I so appreciate it. Great. Give them that responsibility, whether it's just a one-time or if they want to do something more consistent. One of the things that people don't understand is that they try to do everything for themselves. They are going to burn out. The other piece to that is when a member can participate and be part of the co-working experience, be part of the family, it's actually about retention because they feel more like they're bigger participants in the space, and they have ownership of the space. So that is really important. One of the things though that helped, like, okay, great. Well, how do you get that? I spent a lot of time in my orientation. When I orient someone to do an orientation, you sign up, but I say, hey, I need at least 30 minutes of your time. And we set it in the calendar, and, or if they're available right then and there, we go. I really share with them what their responsibilities are. So for example, this is from, hey, if you see something coming in the space, please come find me. If you are, I teach them how to make coffee. I don't do that. I mean, I guess I make sure that the kitchen is clean and things are looking good, but they are responsible for making coffee. So when someone changes the coffee, I yell out. I'm kind of known for yelling around the space. Thank you so much. You get a gold star. Like encouraging that behavior and also letting them know that, yeah, we really appreciate that. So when I'm doing a tour, I say, hey, look, we've got 292 members here. You know, there's just me and my other coworker. We need your help to keep the coffee going, because imagine showing up to the coffee and there not being any coffee. So we depend on you. Or let me know. I know some community managers, you can kind of get defensive if someone says, oh, well, we need that, you know, like you're out of this, you're out of that. And it's like, oh gosh, I forgot to order stuff. Don't get defensive. Just say, hey, thank you. I need you to help me. I need you to be my eyes and ears around here. So that also goes around, I mean, that can go to many different areas. But in terms of the happy factor, it's like, I am what I call fostering, I foster the glow. I'm a very optimistic person, so I bring that positive energy to the space. I always ask people how they're doing. As I was told by a wise woman sometime, you saying hello to somebody, you might be the only person that actually acknowledges them that day. So whether they're an extrovert or an introvert, just a hello is super important. I think when we were at one of the, couple years ago at one of the unconferences, they said that people, is it 40% of the people choose to stay at a co-working location based on the community manager, or maybe it was higher than that?
Yeah, I think it's around 83%.
Okay, yes. So your interaction with them, acknowledging them, listening to them. That's why I literally schedule in like, hey, from 9 to 10:30, I am listening to my members and I'm talking to them. They need to feel like they are acknowledged. The other thing that I do that is really important is if someone comes in and they're there for a tour, I introduce them to a minimum of 3 people, because they don't necessarily know what co-working is. And if I can introduce them, I let the conversation go for a couple sentences. Once I know there's like they've connected, then I move away and move on. And that is part of threading them into the community as quickly as possible. And it makes them feel good. They're like, wow, I just was welcomed by the community manager. I feel really comfortable and safe here. I just got introduced to 3 or 4 people. I feel comfortable having a conversation, and that tone is set. So when an older member has been hanging out with us, they know that I'm going to hit them up, say, hey, can you introduce yourself to this new person? So you also, in terms of the happiness there, I do have expectations around here. You're going to have happy people because people know that I'm taking care of all the good stuff. They also know that I'm taking care of some of the more difficult things. So they don't have to wait for that very loud person singing opera in the middle of the space that's they're like, oh, the person's so loud. I'm already on that. I am letting that person know, hey, you're in your opera voice. I just want to let you know we've got those awesome telephone booths over there. And so they know that I'm on it. And so they trust me to take care of, I call it the dark side of co-working, of everything. And as a community manager, you are taking care of, and this is, I know we're talking about time management, but this is, if you can create a glowing space, a place that is very happy, and I do use the word safe because you can come to a safe place and work and you can just relax and enjoy the people around you, and you know that you don't have to deal with the loud guy. Because guess what? Maya's on it, and it allows them to trust me, and they are very happy coming to work. And you can get your best work done here, which is, it's our little tagline here. Just throwing that in.
We have just a few more minutes. And one of the things that I wanted to touch on is prioritization of tasks. So we talked a little bit about how to organize your day. But one thing that, in the community managers that I work with, that I hear quite often is, or that I notice in their sense of overwhelm, is a trouble with prioritizing, the actual tasks that they're doing. And oftentimes, sort of entry-level positions in co-working spaces or in communities are community managers. Our community managers can often be very young people who this may be their first or their second job, and so learning how to prioritize their tasks is something that they're getting on the job training around. So while I was at NextSpace and you and I were responsible for training people, we worked a lot with really having an understanding of what NextSpace's priorities were from a company perspective, so that we could then help the community managers. So in our last couple of minutes here, tell me about how you prioritize your tasks. So, what do you put first? So if we were to look at sort of an essentials priority list, how do you prioritize your day or the things that come up in your day, so that you know where, on the spectrum of prioritization, where something will fall, so that you can, attack that task as needed?
Such a great question. I could go so many different directions. So I'm going to hit on one thing that's really important, and then I'll go into more the tasks. If each space really needs to have their systems in place. So if you don't have a system in place, like easily being able to process someone's credit card, and or from someone checking in to being ready for happy hour, if you don't have your systems in place, you are going to fall behind. And that can be from having your tasks in your calendar to having great software to help you in your time frame. Because we've recently gone from spending a lot of time doing data entry to now we have a new software that now our time is cut in half. So I just want to think about the big picture in systems and operations are really important. Now, being a brand new co-working person and coming in as a community manager, you're not necessarily going to be in charge of all those systems, but just to keep that in mind. So here at NextSpace, it's members, coffee, internet. So you got to have coffee. So when a member, if this job is, I think about it as customer service, hospitality, and facilities management. That is what I believe is what community management has come down to for me. And so what is the member's experience? If they need something right then and there, that the number one most important thing is they need to be able to work. They're coming here to get to work. So no matter what you have planned for the day, if they can't print and they can't, quote unquote, get online, whatever it is, you drop everything you're doing to get to the member. They need to get to work. That is what they're coming here for. Yeah. The next thing in terms of priorities is making sure that you have a good, awesome setup for your supplies. Because if you are out of TP and you are out of half and half, I know I've mentioned those things a couple times, the members are like, wow, they were always out of half and half. And I'm going to run out across the street to the coffee shop because what I need is not here. Hence, that's the coffee. And then going back to internet, make sure you have rockin' internet. You're going to save yourself a lot of time if you really get that set up correctly. So I'm just trying to think of if I'm addressing these things in terms of the priorities.
To sum it up, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
to sum up this conversation, mastering time and space means that you look at your daily task list, your weekly task list, and your monthly task list. You determine the times of the month and the day and the week that are the best to do that based on other factors, maybe how full your space is at any given time during the day and the week, the events that you are developing and programming throughout the month. And also your own rhythms, your own kind of biorhythms, if you will, to make sure that you run a tight ship. You run a tight ship that the members feel safe in, feel happy in, can get their best work done in, and you avoid burnout in doing so. And you get to leave at the end of the day feeling great and energized rather than feeling completely drained. Yeah.
Yes. Yes to what you're saying. It's hard to comment on because exactly you are so good at repeating what verbally I'm trying to share. But you really do have to find your own personal rhythm, really boiling down what is the most basic need for the day, take care of that. Those are the basic tasks. Implementing, how many events are really important here, bringing offerings. Don't try to go, crazy and have 1 million events in a month. Just slowly build yourself up. Try one event a month with a small little happy hour or something like that. But over your time, don't come out of the gates trying to be this hardcore superstar where you burn out. So, once you learn something, just build upon that. So really, when you are a young community manager, you're just making sure the basic tasks are taken care of for the first month, and then maybe start throwing in an event. But make sure you have all your systems down before you start doing these larger things. I will say social media is a big thing for us. So make sure that you have an awesome tool, whether you're using Buffer or something like that. And so you're not constantly spending all your time trying to get your social media up, because you can spend 3 hours doing that. Set aside some time. And then that way you can post anything awesome and new that's happening, and you're not having to spend all this time crafting those social media posts. Another thing is we do our newsletter. I'm hoping you all do a newsletter or share something with your members. We should start that. You should start that on a Thursday if you're trying to get that out on a Monday. So that's just creating your own little pace so you are not burning out. And then once you get all your systems down, that's when you can start doing those bigger, what I call kind of glowy events where, we're going to be organizing an event where we're all going out on a boat, the Chardonnay, out of the harbor nearby. Well, that takes a lot of organization. You really have to have all those other basic things set in place before you can start doing these bigger things. So try not to go all out when you first start. Just slowly build up. And that has been really important for me, because I did try to make everything awesome. And also, don't be a perfectionist. You're not going to get everything done. It's not going to be perfect, but everyone knows you're human. And then, really coming to work with a really positive attitude and really enjoying to get to know your members and finding out how you can help support your members is really the number one thing.
Awesome. Well, Maya, it's been an incredible pleasure to talk with you today, and I really appreciate your time and your expertise and all of your great tips. And thank you. And
thank you, Iris.
To the co-working people out there, just remember it's all about balance, balancing your members with your tasks. Join us next time, every Friday at 10 a.m. Talk to you soon.